Hey, it's Paul Bauer. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what is one of the biggest, and I mean momentous, changes in my entire life. This goes back, it's got to be almost like 30 years ago, and I was in the computer sales field. And I found a therapist that could help me with some of the extra stress that I was feeling. And like I knew I wanted to get better. In most cases, we think that, right? But we don't know the how. So after a series of appointments, she saw a trend in me and she said to me, she goes, I'm noticing a trend. And I said, so, like, and there, you got a little bit of a defense mechanism when someone starts pointing things out to you. And I felt a little defensive, but I said, okay, what is it? She goes, I'm noticing anxiety in you. That's the threat, right? So, would you like to try something, Paul? And I said, well, sure. Okay, so here comes the game changing moment for me, and I hopefully for you too. She said, well, let's try a little exercise. So she said, why don't you lie down? And I thought, lie down? Interesting. Oh, okay. So I lied down, and she said, take your hands and place them on your chest, and I want you to take a deep breath. So I did. So I took a deep breath, and I'm thinking, like, okay, what's this test about? Your mind is kind of racing, and what's this stuff about? So then she said, now I want you to place your hands on your belly, and now I want you to notice the difference when you take a deep breath. And so I thought, there's got to be a wrong answer to this, right? But I'll just tell her the truth. My hands move more on my chest when I breathe. She said, that's exactly opposite. In other words, backwards of the way it should be. And I thought, okay, tell me more. And she said, well, the breath comes from the diaphragm. It doesn't come from the chest. The chest is constricted breathing. Whenever you're stressed, you're breathing up into your chest. And with more breaths per minute, because when you breathe in your chest, it's a less deep breath. You're breathing more frequently because you're more stressed. And then that stress pattern reinforces itself. Interesting. So I said, so what do we do about this? And she said, well, so let's try something, right? This is like step number 2. The first step is the most important step because that's what tells you where you're breathing from, especially when you're stressed. So don't just try this when you're relaxed. Practice or try this exercise, where you place your hands on your chest, your hands on your belly, whenever you're stressed, because that's the telltale sign of where you hang out, where your nervous system is set. Okay. So when she said, okay, now I want you to be mindful, in other words, that was before mindfulness, came in big. Again, this is 30 years ago. So place your hands on your belly, and I want you to be focusing on your breath from your belly. And it felt a little unnatural at first. So I did. So I closed my eyes and I was just kind of paying attention. And I thought, well, this is a little weird, right? But it didn't take long. It took about, 1 or 2, or I don't know, however long minutes. And I thought, could this be a game changer? So she gave me a few other pointers, real simple things, and I went and practiced it for the next several days. And I was in the computer sales field at the time. And what's wild is if you looked at the graph of my sales that was flatlining at the time, and you see where I went into this woman's office, and my sales started going straight up. And my manager said to me, what are you doing, Bauer? And I said, well, I'm just, he said, how many cold calls you making? I go, no, I'm not doing cold calls. I'm just, calling on the companies here in Chicago that I'm passionate about because I was connected. I felt it. It was in my body, right? That's the key here. You get up into your mind, and that's where all the stress, it constantly repeats. And it's like a dog chasing its own tail. You get back into your body, you get back into the diaphragm where you breathe, and at a pace of less than 7 breaths per minute, which is a whole nother video, by the way. Okay, so let's review. Number 1 is get on the floor or on your bed sometime during the day, not first thing in the morning. You could do this after the fact, but I'm talking about when you're stressed or when you want to check in on your breath. Place your hands on your chest and take a deep breath. Then place your hands on your belly and take a deep breath. And notice the difference. If you're breathing from your chest, that's why you're stressed. So you want to get back into your belly, into where the diaphragm is located. Here's the second little bonus of this video, and that is the more that you breathe from your belly, diaphragmatic breathing, it doesn't just open up the energy of the belly, it's massaging your heart, which is an amazing magical property that it took me many years to even understand that one. That was many years later. Okay. So I encourage you to not just practice your breathing, but be mindful of your breathing, especially in times when you start getting stressed. Let that be a moment where you step back, notice what's going on in your body, notice your breathing pattern, how and where you're breathing from, and step back. I got it. You know, the kind of breath you take when you're on vacation, like, that really deep breath, deep down. Yeah. And then you move from fight or flight, that's the stress reflex that's in the body, in the autonomic nervous system, back into more of a calm state of peace, serenity, and back into who you are. So do me a favor, pay this forward. Share this video with your friends, especially your coworkers, and let people know that it's okay, that stress is okay. It's kind of a natural thing, but you don't have to stay overstressed or overwhelmed. And as my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau says, to help one person breathe one breath lighter, that is success. I wish you well, my friend.